Hi, I'm Jim Schroyer, host of That's My Farm. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we're back in southwest Kansas on the Gary Millershaski farm. And we're going to be talking to Gary here in a bit about the trials and tribulations of cutting wheat this time of year, because it's been drought conditions for most of the year. The last month or so, we've had flooding conditions basically. So stay with us, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Hi, welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer, your host, and we're back in Kearney County, just north of Lakin, with Gary Millershaski. We were here a couple months ago, and we said we'd be back about harvest time. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first. I noticed since the last time we were here, you weren't wearing crutches. So what in the world happened?
Well, I tell you what, there's never a good time to break a leg or break a bone, but I picked the absolute worst. We were just working our calves, and I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and
they were a little bit bigger than you thought, huh?
They won, I lost.
Well, you just need, I thought you were going to say something, like I was snow skiing, but I know there's no snow, so I thought maybe you were skiing behind a combine as much water skiing behind combine, as much moisture you've had as of late. So let's talk a little bit about the water.
Well, that's what it took us 10 months to get 2.5 inches of rain, and now in the month of June we've had 9.5 inches. And so we might be harvesting all summer long, who knows?
Well, I know the yields aren't all that great, and occasional good yields here and there irrigated, but with all this moisture that you've had, as I'm looking around, you've got some weeds that we don't normally see on your place.
Well, maybe I've got a greener thumb than what I thought. I don't know.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, I see you've got a little amaranth or pigweed and some kochia there. That's with the wheat as short as it was this year. Did you do something differently there?
We just ate a little more dirt when we're cutting. Mm-hmm. No, it's we try to get all the grain we can, mm-hmm. and you just do what you can.
Yeah, but when we were here last, we were thinking, oh my, if we get 25 bushel, but we were going to need some rain,
right,
to get that, and it didn't rain.
No, we didn't get any rain in May to speak of, uh-huh. And so the wheat didn't exert up. Mm-hmm. It just stayed short, and it's been a challenge.
Well, now, but you didn't use the herbicides you normally put on because you didn't want to throw good money after bad, right?
Right.
And hence the weeds.
Yeah. No, that's hindsight's always 20/20.
Well, you didn't know it was going to rain 10 inches in June as well. So, what else have you seen this spring since we were here?
Well. Since you were last here, got the corn put in, the dryland corn, mm-hmm. got the dryland sorghum put in, and they love these greenhouse conditions right now.
Well, I know the humidity right now has got to be 80-something%. So, and I'm looking over there, I see water in the terraces. I don't think I've seen that in a couple of years.
None of us have.
Yeah.
This is not typical, but that's why we do it.
And you've basically had since you put the wheat in the ground. 2 inches during the growing season,
right,
and 9.5 basically since it's
mature,
it's ready to cut. So what's your time frame usually on wheat cutting? From the time you start, how many days does it normally take?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. So you probably should have been done by now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're half done.
We're half done. So Gary, don't go away, and you folks at home, don't go away, because we're going to be right back after these messages, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that you've been facing, and so get ready.
Okay.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at beyondtheelevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. We're here in southwest Kansas in Kearney County with Gary Millershaski. And Gary, we were talking about all the rain that you've had in the last month, and the lack of rain obviously before all this, and then now we've got rain during harvest time. You know, an optimistic pessimist would say, yeah, we knew it was going to rain, but we knew it was going to be during harvest time. So you've been faced with lots of challenges, maybe more than your fair share. I'm not just you, I'm talking collective farmers in the state of Kansas this year. So kind of take us through some of the challenges. Too much rain, hail, that sort of thing.
Well, I always say on the hail, 10% of the wheat's going to get hailed out. I just hope I'm not the one that supplies the 10%. And as long as you have that kind of an attitude, I think it doesn't bother you as bad. The worst thing is these rains. We've had rain, and lots of times it takes 2 rains to get weed seeds to germinate. Well, we've had that. We've had lack of residue on top where, like spots like here, the wheat, it died. And so that makes a perfect seed bed for weeds. And even though you would say, I haven't raised weeds here for a long time, but the seeds are always there. The seed bank, it's there. Well, when you have these continual rains, we can't control the weeds because it's too muddy to do anything. And
yeah, you can't get that sprayer out.
Right. And my biggest complaint is these crutches don't have a big enough pad on the bottom. You can't walk in a muddy field. But that's just part of it.
Well, let's talk about, you've had, with these rains, with these thunderstorms, you've had some pretty violent storms. And when I'm talking that, I'm thinking about water in the hard form.
Yeah. There's been at least 3 storms that have produced a substantial amount of hail. And when I say that, when you have visible damage, it's bad. But so much of the time, people don't realize you can have just a small amount of hail. And
the pea-sized stuff.
Yeah, with the wind. And it will just, like if this is a head, it just takes a chunk of grain right out of the head. And it just makes you sick to your stomach because it's gone.
Well, that's right. Well, this year I've seen wheat just completely mowed off. I don't know if there's any in the vicinity. You haven't had any of that.
We've got a little bit, but it's not whole fields. It's just like corners of fields and such.
I've seen some of that, and I've seen obviously just what you were describing, just chipping out.
Yeah, the shattering.
Shattering. And what I worry about in shattering like that, now I'm starting to worry about volunteer and wheat streak mosaic next year.
Okay, and I tell you what, we gotta love Eric Wolf for having that test, or that where he had those varieties. That was one of the best things I've ever seen.
With the wheat streak symptoms and
the results
untreated,
treated and untreated. I've actually booked some seed wheat that came out real good in that for the areas I think I'm going to have a lot of pressure this fall.
Gary, thanks for that information. We're going to ask you more questions, and folks, you at home, stay with us. We'll be right back with That's My Farm.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Farming is a tough business. With harvest looming, make the decision to rent your combine from Machinery Link. Machinery Link provides late model John Deere and Case IH combines delivered to your field on time, guaranteed. Machinery Link handles the cost of repairs, maintenance, and the other hassles that go with owning a combine, allowing you to focus your time and money on more important things. Don't miss your opportunity to reap the rewards that other Kansas farmers are already experiencing. Call today.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. Gary Millershaski is with me, and we're just north of the town of Lakin in Kearney County during harvest time. And Gary, it's been tough. We've talked about the conditions, and with the height of the wheat being so short compared to normal years, let's talk about equipment and what are you running and what maybe you'd like to run here in the future. So let's talk about your combines.
Well, due to economics, we've got one machine that's older than some of the viewers that are watching. It's an older machine, conventional, and
conventional header.
Yeah, and then and a conventional separator.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm
We've
sorry.
got two that are rotaries, the newer machines. One of them actually has a 36-foot draper that I really like that, with a pickup reel. That just, to me, I just like the way it handles it, feeds in, so on and so forth. And then
the pickup reel is not going to be an important aspect this year.
No,
is it because of you don't have any lodged?
No, but it's amazing how when the wheat is real short and you try to cut, it will set on the front of your pan of your platform. With the pickup reel, you can actually rake it in a little bit easier.
Okay.
And so
even with the short wheat,
even with the short wheat, it helps, because so much of the time your bat reel is supposed to lay the wheat over.
Right.
Okay, it's just barely touching it, and instead of laying it over, it just sets right on the front of the header.
Okay.
And yeah, no, I'd love to have stripper headers this year that comb the grain off and leave everything standing, because where we're cutting, there's spots where we're only leaving 5 inches of residue at the top. And with that being said, I'm more paranoid because we've had so much wind events this year, and I've chiseled more this spring than I have in the last 20 years.
When you say chisel, you're talking about roughing up the soil where wheat is already there
for erosion control.
Exactly.
And we've got some moisture here, and I'm toying with the idea of trying to plant some sedan grass or just some type of residue that will grow up this fall before the freeze, and that will hold and cover the soil and protect it.
Of course, you don't want to plant it too thick of a rate, because you don't want to use that water.
Right. I want to keep
you've got a bunch of water. You want to save it to this fall.
It's a juggling thing, but on the same token, I got to cover the soil, or it'll dry out just as well.
Right. How are you going to handle the residue, and how do you normally handle it, and where are you going to go from here? Because, like I said, you're half, less than half.
This is going to be a day-by-day thing. I'm going to let my boys guide me, because they'll have just as good of an idea as I will.
So what about spraying and that sort of thing?
We will probably control. We don't want to make any more weed seeds than what we've already got in our soil bank, and so we'll have to control that. And yeah, it's a challenge.
Okay. Well, don't go away, and you folks at home, stay right with us. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. and a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
National Bank Ag Professional. You'll be in good company. They'll help you track expense lines, manage variable input costs, assess ground agreements, pick a crop protection plan. These times demand ag professionals. Central National Bank. You could profit from what they know. Ag operations run better on Central Time.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Schroyer. With me, I have Gary Millershaski in Lakin, Kansas. And Gary, we're standing in a sorghum field that planted here a few weeks ago, and actually looks pretty good. But let's kind of continue from the last segment here. Your field over here to the south is in really short wheat. What are you going to do to get that to sorghum next year?
Well, as soon as we can get the sprayer across the field, we'll clean up the weeds that are out there. And then, like on the edges where we have no residue at all, I'm probably going to plant some type of a cover crop to keep it from blowing.
Right.
And then, but not the whole field, just the edges and wherever it's necessary. Then with that being said, we'll maintain a weed-free environment. Don't know if I will put any atrazine on that field, just because of the soil type.
Right.
And it's more so a matter of just keeping it clean. Next spring, we'll go with a pre-emergent in March to keep a clean environment, and then we'll plant it in May. And
Now, okay, so let's talk about this May, and we're in sorghum, but I know you have some corn as well, dryland corn out here. So what happened this year for your corn and sorghum planting?
Well, after you guys left, that's when we planted our corn, I think the 15th of May. I don't plant real early because we're at over 3,000 foot elevation.
Right.
And with that being said, the corn, actually, the neighbors were thinking I'd lost my mind because it was so dry. Yeah.
Okay.
And but with that being said, right now the corn looks great. We were able to get it in just boom boom because there was no moisture. We did have to take the coulters off the planter so we could go in deeper. Typically, I'll plant to this knuckle. This year, we actually had to go in about all the way to the palm to get moisture.
So you're talking over
3 inches.
You're talking 3 inches. Wow.
And that's the deepest I've ever planted corn.
Did you have some emergence problems?
Not so much. The only problems I had was where we had no moisture at all.
Right.
And where there was no moisture, it didn't go in that deep because it was harder. But then the Milo started going in right after Memorial Weekend, and we actually had a little bit better moisture conditions then.
Because I think you got a rain like the 22nd, 25th of May, somewhere in that
and
ballpark.
so the Milo was going in almost nice. And then since then we've had so much rain. Now my biggest problem is my herbicide that I use, I plan on about 5 inches of rainfall in 3 months. And so now my pre-emergent is gone, and so I will have to go in here after a bit and clean up some of these pigweeds and devil's claw that will just haunt us if we don't.
Right. So corn, dryland corn, what's your population on that?
This year I only planted 13,000.
Right. Okay. What about sorghum?
The stuff that right when we first started going in, we were planting 23,000 on that. we didn't get it all planted, and we got hit with some rain, and then we planted a couple fields that we weren't going to because there's no residue whatsoever.
Right.
And those, we bumped them up to 28.
Right, okay. Gary, we've got one more segment. Stay with us, and you folks at home, we'll be right back after these messages.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Hi, I'm Jim Schroyer. Welcome back to That's My Farm. Gary, thanks for staying with us on this last segment. You know, harvest time, busy time of the year, and I think of those old-time pictures with all those harvest crews, big dinners, big suppers. Well, how's that changed from your current operation?
Well, I'm actually really fortunate. My wife, my father-in-law's wife, they still give us a good meal. In fact, we probably eat better during harvest than we do during a lot of the times of the year. But no, they prepare us a good meal, and they bring it out wherever we're cutting at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. When that Suburban shows up, everybody's the truck drivers have a tendency to say, "Oh, I'm going to eat before I go to the elevator," but no, we do a shut the combines down. We have a sit down. Meat and potatoes, it's good stuff.
There you go. So, I mean, with the harvest being extended due to the rains, I mean, that's now these folks that are cooking dinner for you, they're wondering when you're going to cut and if they're going to have to fix the meal.
I'm getting a little flack from that. Typically, 5 to 7 days we can get in, get it out. This year, we're going to be cutting for 2 weeks, I think, and or more. And with that being said. Yeah, they're saying, what are you guys doing? Just going out and starting in the middle of the afternoon just to get a nice meal? And
so what is the cutoff? I mean, they say if you cut for 4 hours, we'll fix dinner for you. What's the deal?
There hasn't been one, but they're thinking about putting in some rules and regulations.
Okay, Gary. Hey, thanks for letting us come visit you a second time. I know your yields have been all over the board, and so it's been kind of a tough year on that, but thanks for being a good sport and letting us talk to you 2 times this year.
Well, and one thing I like is our test weight, and it looks good, the quality of it. So there's a little bit of limelight at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, well, good deal, because you know, in a drought year like this, well, we have drought and flood, but the grains developing during that drought year, I'm thinking that all those little bitty kernels that you didn't cut are out the back end of the combine, and we're going to, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but I'm afraid we're going to have some volunteer issues.
It'll be a challenge, but if it was easy, everybody'd do it.
That's right. Gary, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Folks, thank you very much for being with us on today's issue of That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, The Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.